And we're back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rossicle. I am one of the hosts here at the channel. My name is Nathaniel. I'm not joined by my other co-host, Relay. I mean, she's next to me, but she's not really going to be able to be on the mic. Maybe if she, like, screamed, but she is over there. We are bringing a bit of a different series to the channel. We kind of talked about this back and forth a little bit, and we settled on something called Zombie Talks, which is effectively... what? Zombie Thoughts. My bad. Okay. What account am I on? This is not set to the correct anything.
What can I put on your account last?
You did?
Probably.
It's fine. Everyone will deal with this. Alright. So, anyways, Zombie Thoughts, which is a lot like Shower Thoughts, except, you know, because I'm playing zombies. Because why wouldn't I? It's one of the greatest game modes ever created. Come at me. But we wanted to have an environment where we could just casually play something and talk. And it's not scripted. In fact, it's not even being recorded after the fact. I am actively playing as I'm talking. See, I'm going to crouch right now. Oh, no, I'm not. I hit the wrong button. That's about as brief as you can get, I guess, right? But anyways, so... the topic for today is something that I talk about very often in my actual day-to-day life, and may or may not be considered something rather controversial, but you know what? We're almost back to 205 subscribers, so why not? Let's get back to 190-something, huh? Anyways, the point I wanted to get at here is one of the things I talk about very often, well, I shouldn't say every single day, but very often, day-to-day, is the sentiment that people our age, people in, what are we, Gen Z? People in the Gen Z generation, right, have everything so horrible when it comes to money. Now, the reason I say this is controversial is because I can admit that there is definitely an amount of money that we have to pay for rent and for living expenses, for groceries and that sort of thing, that is proportionally a lot higher than people used to have to pay back in the day, think like boomers and that sort of thing, right? Even in comparison to the amount of money that they made versus what we made. I mean, the percentages and the statistics don't lie, and I understand that. But I do think that there is sort of an element of, like, learned helplessness that we exhibit every time we say, man, we just can't afford anything. And I feel like I kind of live in that reality that I feel like we actually can afford a lot of things. Now, I don't think me and Ashley are the most crazy, wild, spend all the money in the world that we can people. And I understand that if that was the mindset that we sort of had in terms of spending our money, that we would probably feel like we have no money. But what I feel like people don't do nearly as much anymore is just sort of learn how to prioritize your money on the things that actually matter to you, right? Like, the people in my life that tell me all the time that they're never going to be able to afford a house, and they're never going to be able to afford to have a family or to be able to do a lot of different things, right? A lot of them are... I think that's the one I want to disable. Anyways, a lot of them are also spending a ton of money on other things, right? They're going out and they're going out to eat 2 or 3 times a week. They're going out and they're buying this, that, and the other merchandise things because they have to have that t-shirt and they have to have this souvenir. And oh my goodness, it has been 2 months since they've taken a vacation. They have to go to the beach. I mean, it is not possible that they don't go to the beach. And you know what? To each their own. If they need to go to the beach, they need to go to the beach. But that doesn't speak to me as somebody that is trying to save up for stuff in his life that matters and is willing to sacrifice things in order to not... Okay, so I turned off the wrong one. So enable and disable. There we go. Anyways, that doesn't really speak to me as somebody that has learned, even when I was younger, and especially now as an adult, that in order to save up for things that are relatively expensive, I might have to prioritize and give up things that I feel as if I would really like in that given moment. Do I think that a beach vacation would be a lot of fun? Absolutely. Do I think it is something that I need? Of course not. And is it something that I'm willing to sacrifice because Ashley and I hope to buy a house in the future? Yeah, it is something I'm willing to sacrifice, right? You see a lot of people in this day and age say that they just can't afford anything. And I don't think it's true, right? Like, I am here to combat against an element of that learned helplessness because you can afford some things, right? Like, maybe you can't afford everything that you want. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like you can. And I will admit, heck yeah, apparently I'm leveling up. I will admit that this gun is not it. I will admit that there is some truth to the idea that we cannot afford as much as maybe we would have been able to if we were 50 years ago, right? There's definitely some truth to that. Again, I won't sit here and say the statistics lie, but I don't think we help anybody when we sit here and just contribute to our helplessness and go, woe is me, I can't afford anything. I'm not going to combat this. I'm not going to prioritize the things that matter because I live in an era and a world where I can complain about it rather than do something about it. You know, I for one would love a paycheck that is a little bit more comparable to the amount of time that I spent going to school. I think the average person with a master's degree makes more than I do. And I think the average person with a master's degree that finds a job that they needed a master's degree for makes more on entry than I do. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I wish I didn't make more money. But I made the decisions that I chose to make. If I wanted to stay an engineer and get my master's degree in engineering, I could have. I got my bachelor's degree in mathematics, and I could have gone and worked at a bank or something similar to that, and maybe have made a little bit more money on entry. There were things that I could have done to make more money, and I'm honestly very grateful, and I feel very blessed that I get to do what I love in teaching and still make as much money as I did, and as I do. I mean, I don't really necessarily need to break down all of the numbers for you guys, but me and Ashley are two teachers, and we live very comfortably in a world that reminds us daily that we can't afford anything. We often, in the month, after saving and retirement money being put aside and all of our bills being paid, with money that we set aside to spend that we genuinely didn't have anything that we wanted to spend it on. You know, so just to give you guys kind of an example, last month we ended with about $250 that we had left over that was set aside on things that we could really buy whatever we wanted. And we ended that month with those $250 because, you know, everything that we had decided to buy that month left us with that much money. There are enough people that I know that would have found something to spend $250 on. In fact, not only would they have done that, whatever they spent $250 on would have become a regular expense. So now they can't afford anything when something else comes up that they want because they didn't learn how to prioritize. And it's really frustrating from my perspective because I kind of refuse to contribute to a generation of helplessness, right? I don't really want to get, you know, too into detail, but I know a lot of people in my life personally that really give in to this helplessness. They live in the mindset that there is nothing they can do, the world has cursed them, and they will never be able to afford what they want, so why try? And I'm kind of here to say that if you try, it's better than you think, you know? I'm not here to tell you... Oh, gosh. Well, it happens sometimes. I probably should have bought Quick Revive, and I didn't. But, you know, I'm not really here to tell you guys that you're going to be able to buy everything you ever want and that the world is some, you know, utopia of wonderfulness, right? Like, that's not how it works. Most of the time you're going to have to work. More often than not, even if you do something you love, it's still work, right? I love teaching, and teaching still quite a weight on my shoulders some days. That's okay. I love my students. I love the job, but it's work. That's the whole point. That's why I'm getting paid for it. And I think that I come home from that work, I spend the money on the things that I love, and I continue to enjoy my hobbies. But at the end of the day, I also know that I don't just need to throw away money on things because now we have money. I want to have a house. Houses are expensive. Houses are so much more expensive proportionally than they used to be. I'm not denying that fact, but they're not unattainable. They're not unachievable. So let's sit here with a, mature attitude and let's say, sure, I wish they were a lot easier to get. But I'm also not going to let the fact that they're harder to get stop me from living the life that I feel like I deserve to try to live. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that that makes sense. So that's kind of just what I wanted to hop on here and say. I mean, there's probably more to this conversation, but it's kind of just the idea that a lot of people that I know refuse to believe that they could save a whole lot more money than they actually could, because we throw our money at things that cost way too much that we don't even realize, right? I understand that not everybody wants to just make their own cup of coffee, but do you realize how much Starbucks is actually costing you? I understand that people don't necessarily want to go home and make their own meals, but do you understand how much DoorDash is costing you? I mean, especially if you have a car, you're paying for the car. Use the car, go pick up the food. I'm the first person to tell you that there are days that Ashley will turn to me or we'll turn to each other and say, yeah, dinner is not getting made tonight. That's fine. We'll go and we'll pick up Costco or something like that. We find food that is nearly the same price. Not quite. It's a little more expensive, but nearly the same price as us actually cooking the food. We go and we get it so that it's not that I think you can even DoorDash Costco anyways, but, the equivalent. And it ends up costing us maybe the price of 2 meals that we would have cooked for 1 meal. And we still get the freedom of not having had to have cooked that night. It's little things like that. And it just kind of rubs me the wrong way when I hear about this sort of helplessness that everybody seems to be in these days, that they can't afford to do anything. They want to travel the world and settle down and have a family all at the same time. And no, that was just never really... I need to be careful here so I don't die on round 1. Oh, it's round 2 still. No better. But anyways, they want to travel the world and settle down and have a family. Well, look, I'm first person that's going to tell you it would be awesome if you could do both of those things. But who told you that you deserve to do both of those things? Because that's just not the world we live in, and as much as I would hope that you could do both of those things, it's not very realistic. So why don't we choose and prioritize what things we want to do? If you want to travel the world, right? Go and do awesome things, and I hope you have the best time ever. Genuinely. I hope you have a blast. No pun intended, because I just picked up a nuke. But it hurts me a little bit, as somebody who genuinely would love to go to different conventions and see different places of the United States and get to go on trips and go to the beach and relax, take vacations, all of those things. I recognize that what's more important to me is building a home, settling down, all of these things that other people say that they want, but they're not willing to sacrifice and prioritize like I am. So it doesn't feel like they're on the same page as me in terms of what they want. If they want nothing more than to travel the world, more power to them. I hope that they find the dedication within them to save and set aside so that they can travel the world. But I don't understand where we got to believe that we have to be able to do all things and everything without any sacrificing. The American dream is not do anything you want without any work, without any sacrifice. That's not what it is. The American dream is be able to work and be able to build towards whatever dream you want. Is it traveling? Great. Is it a family? Great. Is it, living on your own and just hanging out with the boys every other night? Good for you. I mean, I'm here for everybody's dream. But who said you had to be able to have every dream imaginable, right? I don't know. It just kind of, like I said, it rubs me the wrong way. Because I feel almost as if we're fighting for something that kind of never existed, right? I know that theoretically we would have been able to afford a lot more with how hard we have to work nowadays. And I understand that there are certain groups of people. There are single mothers out there that have to work 2 jobs just to be able to afford even, you know, their kids surviving. And I think that is ridiculous. I think that is way too intense. And I would love for there to be some change in that department. But when you're working a normal 9-to-5, 40-hour week, and you're going out to eat 3 times a week, you're buying concert tickets every other month, and at those shows, you're coming back with $200 of merchandise, because how could you live without your Taylor Swift t-shirt? And at the end of all of that, you're then, I don't know what else you're doing. You know, maybe you decide that you want to go to a cabin in the mountains and take a trip off that way. And then the next week, you really need some time off of work, so you go out and party and you go drink and you do these things that you're more than welcome to do. And then at the end of the month, or at the end of the year, you look at your savings account and you go, this thing only went up by $50. I don't make enough money. Well, maybe you don't make enough money, or maybe you just spent it all. I mean, is that a crazy, controversial thing to say? Am I canceling us here on YouTube by saying that? Am I sending us to the ends of the cancel culture by saying, you know, maybe set aside a little bit of money, you know? You want to buy a house. Yeah, I'm right there with you going, man, I wish I could save up for this in 2 years rather than 5 years, rather than 10 years, whatever it's going to take. Right? I'm in a very fortunate situation where maybe we'll have one in a year or 2. Not everybody's in that situation. But if it's going to take you 5 or 10 years to save up for it, and you want to complain about that, at least be saving up for the damn house. Instead of complaining about it, but buying more t-shirts. Complaining about it, but buying coffee every single day. You know? And if coffee is your sanity every single day, that's fine. What are you buying that isn't your sanity every single day? What are you buying that you could actually give up? You know? And I just, man, I feel like I'm kind of ranting, but I guess that's kind of the point of these videos, so really shouldn't be getting on to myself for that. So, you know, ask yourself, genuinely, what are you buying that you could live without? What are you buying that you don't really need? Because it's something. You know, you might not know what it is, but it's something. Do you need the new iPhone? Do you need that video game right now? And I could do examples for our own life. Do we need to buy these Paizo products? Because I love Pathfinder. I love Pathfinder. But there are certain products we've gone, you know what? That's not very high on our priority. And if money got tight, all of Pathfinder would not be very high on our priority. Because none of it's more important than building a home, saving for a future. To us. If that's not your case, then that's not your case. But what gives you the right to complain and say you deserve both of them? Do I deserve both of them? Because I feel pretty blessed. I feel like I'm getting to live the American dream. I don't come home upset at how much money I make. I don't look at my paycheck at the end of the month and go, oh my God, I'm struggling. I look at my paycheck at the end of the month and I thank God that I've been given this opportunity. I'm happy that I get the opportunity to save up for what I hope to have. I'm happy I live in a country that lets me do that. I mean, I'm more fortunate than some, but there are also others more fortunate than me. That's the reality of life. But I'm just thankful that I've got what I've got. And maybe, like I said, maybe there's definitely some bias there, right? Because I am very fortunate, and I can recognize that. But I also think that there is something to be said that our generation and younger feel as if they deserve the world and aren't really willing to work for it. I feel like we are sort of plagued by social media where we see people that have made it. They have all the money, they can do whatever they want. And honestly, I hope everybody that pursues that gets there. I wish that upon everybody. But that's not the reality, right? We're not all going to make millions of dollars. I wish that this YouTube channel pops off and we're able to do this full time, because I would love to make videos for you guys all day, every day. But is that really the reality? Is that something that is going to happen anytime soon? I certainly hope so. But I can sit here and say I don't deserve it any more than every other person that dreams of making it big on YouTube. It's not my right any more than it's theirs, and it's not going to happen to all of us. You know? I hope every single one of my 7th graders that dreams of playing professional football grows up to play professional football. But it's not going to happen. It's just not. You know? Those people get to do whatever they want. They happen to make enough money to do so. Right? But the rest of us still live in a world where you can get most of what you care about if you prioritize it. You're not going to get instant gratification. That's something that our generation feels like they need. And you're going to have to be able to swallow your pride a little bit and say, I wasn't saving. I need to start saving. I don't know what else to tell you. There were times in my life that I had to be honest with myself and go, you know what? I bought a lot of things that I didn't need. And now I can't necessarily buy the stuff I care about more. So what can I do about that? Well, I could sit there and I could complain. Or I could recognize and grow from that mistake and make better decisions going forward. I mean, isn't that what life's kind of about? Am I going crazy over here? Thanks, darling. So, anyways, long story short, because I don't really want this video to drag on for way too long. It really upsets me that my generation has decided they are so helpless while contributing to that helplessness when it comes to how much money they make. I understand that we probably deserve to be paid more, or we deserve for things in the world to cost less. I can agree with that sentiment. But when you're not saving up for the things that do matter, when you're not... Okay, sure. I promise, guys, I used to be decent at zombies. But anyways, when you're not saving up for the things that matter, when you're not prioritizing the things that actually, you know, cost a good bit of money, and saying to yourself, you know what, I can't afford this right now because I've decided that I want to afford that in the future, we lose a level of intensity to our statement. I don't feel as moved by somebody that's not saving up. You know what I feel moved by? I feel moved by the person that saved up 12 years to buy a house and decides they want to go online and say, I hated how much I had to give up to buy this house. I feel moved by that person because I understand that they gave up a lot and that they shouldn't have had to have done that. I don't feel moved by the person that can't give up their morning coffee but feels like they also need to complain about the fact that they shouldn't have to give up their morning coffee. It just doesn't, that doesn't move me. That doesn't stick with me in the same way. It loses intensity. I don't want houses to cost what they do. And guess what? I'm going to prove that by having to give up stuff to buy a house. So that should we be blessed enough to look back and have a house, I can say, man, I really do wish that took less time. But you know what? We have a house. We have what we strived for. And we're lucky and blessed to have that opportunity. I do what I love. I'm able to pay for everything that I need to survive. And I'm able to pay for all of the hobbies that I have. And I don't make that much money. I just don't. Alright, that's really all we have for you guys right now. I hope that if you guys really do feel monetarily tight, that you figure it out. You know, if there's something that you can sacrifice, I hope you find it. If you really are in a tight situation, I hope it gets better. I really, really do. But I just want to say, you know, let's keep our heads up and stay focused on the blessings that we do have in life. I think most of us get paid more than enough, and honestly, I refuse to contribute to the learned helplessness. Thank you guys for being so awesome. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a comment down below. We want to know what you guys think. We want to know what your opinions are. I have my opinions. You have yours. They probably aren't. They don't align on everything. I want to know what you think. But generally speaking, it's been pretty disappointing to me to see us feel so helpless when, genuinely, most of the people I know are very blessed, including myself. Me and Ashley are extremely blessed. So we love you guys so much. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like it, comment, subscribe. We were at 204, like I said, at the time of recording this. Hopefully we're higher, but if we have to tank a little bit just for speaking our truth, that's kind of how it goes. And that'll be okay. We'll survive. But we love and appreciate each and every one of you that sticks around and enjoys our videos. And yeah, that's what we have for you guys. First episode of Zombie Thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There'll probably be more in the future because it lets us just kind of talk about whatever we're thinking. And yeah, that's what we have. We'll see you guys in whatever comes next. But until then, may those rolls be ever in your favor. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Bye, y'all.